Small players can be winners, as I was saying, for contract manufacturing. Here also, the large players will operate only at a certain scale, right? But we may not have that scale. You have, gotten into a new product where the scale is not there, right? We are also testing it in the marketplace. So people who are able to give flexibility on scale itself, those can become long-term vendors for us. So ability to deliver with agility at a lower scale is something which is a niche which MSMEs can look forward to and start working with companies like us.
Welcome back to MSME Talk podcast for micro, small, medium enterprise businesses and startups. This is episode number 59 of MSME Talk, MSME Vendor Opportunities with Large FMCG Companies Part 1. In today's episode, learn how MSME vendors can enter large FMCG supply chains, the right approach, selection and compliance criteria, real onboarding timelines, and key upgrades to scale in contract manufacturing, raw material, and packaging. For better experience, I would suggest you to switch to 1.25x speed, and also don't miss to subscribe at the rate MSME Talk on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify. Welcome to MSME Talk. Today we are diving into one of the most crucial aspects that drives FMCG companies, and that is supply chain. Large FMCG companies operate through complex and well coordinated networks connecting manufacturers, sourcing, logistics, packaging, transportations. And within all this lie immense opportunity for India's MSMEs to participate and grow through value chains of large FMCG companies. To help us understand how MSMEs can prepare themselves and increase their probability of encashing these opportunities, we have with us Mr. Samrat Sehgal, Global Supply Chain Head of Dabur India. With this with his vast experience in leading end-to-end supply chain of one of the most respected FMCG brands, Samrat will share valuable insights in areas in which MSMEs can strengthen their capabilities and position themselves to get opportunities from large FMCG companies. A very warm welcome to MSME Talk podcast, Samrat, and thank you for taking our time.
Thanks a lot, Tripti. It's a pleasure to be here. Actually, MSMEs, I would say, are the backbone of India's industrial, revolution. So whatever we are going through, I think bulk of the growth is actually coming through the MSMEs. And for our supply chain ecosystem also, I think I would believe that probably, some of these conversations which we are having, or I am having with you, hopefully it will help the entrepreneurs, and, it will help maybe to bridge the gap between, the FMCG companies' expectation and the delivery from, the partners. So I am very happy. Happy to, be here and to share my experiences. Yeah. I think the growth story of India is written by the MSMEs, and I think companies like us will help to probably turn the page faster. That's the way I look at it.
Absolutely, Samrat, and that's the whole reason that to hear from the other side that what are your expectations, what are your suggestions sitting at the helm where dealing with large segment of MSMEs, and you are taking them along with you on the growth path. This brings to a very curious question, which even our listeners would like to know, Samrat, as global supply chain head of Dabur India, which is a very critical and strategic position in the company. What all are you responsible and accountable for?
So, if I have to answer this question in one word, I would say, the one word would be availability. Yeah, availability of the product to my consumer. But if it has to be in maybe three words, then I would say it would be, availability uh, in an agile way, cost efficient way, and a sustainable way. That's the way I would say. But if I have to give you a more theoretical definition, so I am responsible end to end, for the whole supply chain, for from demand planning to the production planning to the distribution planning, and then the whole piece of transportation, warehousing, and taking the goods from our warehouses to our end consumers, and the whole piece of customer service. These are the responsibilities broadly, if I have to talk about.
Okay,
And
I'm
I would say that supply chain today is not only about moving the goods; it's moving the material at moving the trust of the consumers at the speed of light. Because today the consumer is able to place the order and wire transfer money at the speed of light, and their expectation is also same, that you should be able to take the product to them, deliver the product to them at the speed of light. So I would say that's my responsibility, Tripti.
so blame it the instant gratification going on currently, and you have to deliver that instant gratification. Being part of FMCG, player. Wonderful, Samrat. You have given us in a very very crisp manner your role and accountability. Let me try to put it into some more picturestic thing. How many people would be taking care of this on roll and off roll, this entire gamut of supply chain in your ecosystem?
Okay, so this will be, more than 1,000 people, I would say, directly or indirectly. People within our own company, direct, I would say, direct are those people who are working directly with us, with Dabur. Plus, there are people, across our warehouses and distribution centers who are basically responsible for or they are helping me out to deliver my KRA. So a little more than 1,000 people would be there. Within the organization, it will be about 75 people direct with us. But I think more important here is the culture and the collaboration which the organization is driving through our own resources and resources outside. So as per me, it's not the headcount which will count here, Tripti. It is the mindset which will help, will have the multiplier effect, I would say.
Absolutely right. And that's collaboration only takes you to take the services of MSMEs, right?
Absolutely,
So
very true.
in
Yeah.
this whole working of supply chain, right from making everything available uh, at the right time, at the right cost, at the right speed, what you mentioned, uh, how many MSMEs would be engaged in this with you?
So I think a significant portion of our supplier base, you can say, will be MSMEs. Okay, right from supplying the raw materials to us, packaging material, then the whole logistics piece, contract manufacturing, and within our own manufacturing also, we have our own factories also. So there as well, there will be MSMEs who are doing some job, some or the other job work also for us. So I would say there will be more than 100 MSMEs which will be working with us,
Wow.
and
And
I would say
further multiplier effect actually. These 100 MSMEs would be employing further,
in turn they will be
workforce.
internally working. Some of them
Okay.
have a very long term relationship with us also, and I would say for any big brand like ours, the strength lies, they are our hands actually who are working for us. So maybe a one body but multiple hands which are there, and these are the MSMEs with whom we have long or short term relationship. That's the way I would put it.
What a wonderfully you have said, one body and many hands, and these hands are MSMEs. So this takes us to a next question, Samrat. If we just want to take it a list of the areas or segments in a large FMCG company that gives opportunity to MSMEs to get business, so what would be these areas?
So I think, as I said, packaging material, raw material, these are straight away areas where MSMEs can work with us. Contract manufacturing also, a lot of MSMEs are involved with us. Warehousing, as I said, logistics, transportation. So there are many MSMEs who can work in these different fields. Now, Of course, in technology also, Tripti, in digital services, a lot of MSMEs are there, startups who are working with us. So I would say that there is a wide area in which they can be working with us, and I think for us, it's the speed which the MSMEs. They will be able to provide, because FMCG is all about agility, right? And I think MSME strength is agility, I would say. So that's where an overlap is there, and I see in many ways large systems actually move little slow, but MSMEs are the ones who provide speed to us.
Okay, wonderful. So, the areas which you have mentioned, Samrat, let's try to dig into these areas and little more information for our MSME audience and listeners. So, let's begin with contract manufacturing now. So, what is the best way for MSME businesses to approach large FMCG companies to get contract manufacturing opportunity? What need to be the first step for them?
Yeah, so I would say, Tripti, first of all, the first step should be that the MSME should understand, the company's product portfolio. So, for example, if someone is approaching Dabur, so what kind of products Dabur is, in what areas, what segments is Dabur operating in, right? And then focus on the areas in which they can genuinely add value, right? Value could be in multiple ways, we can say value, right? So one could be value of cost, definitely. Cost efficiency is the easiest thing, which I can talk about, right? But apart from that, they should look at whether they are able to give maybe flexibility. Now, flexibility could be in terms of maybe the agility itself, right? And flexibility also could be in terms of scale. For example, a company like Dabur will operate its manufacturing facility at a certain scale. We produce only our products, in house. But an MSME could be one who's manufacturing probably for 10 other companies. So they will be able to bring the flexibility on scale for us, right? Plus, they should also map whether they have some niche formulations, etc., expertise on formulation. If they can, identify these things, then the question is how they should approach the organization, right? So, in every organization, there is a supply chain and operations function. Within the function, there is always a contract manufacturing team. It's known as the contract manufacturing team. Sometimes it is known as the 3P manufacturing team. Sometimes it is known as the loan licensing team. So these are the different names of the same team which is there, right? So they should be able to identify people working in those functions and approach to them. In case they are not able to do it, even then organizations on their websites have a contact number or maybe a contact mail ID. On that, they can always put in their expertise. They can put their request and send it out. Anyone who's actually going through emails, which come from maybe sometimes the vendors, sometimes customers, consumers, all those mails are actually scanned, and then they are sent to the respective functions who actually look at those communications, and then one by one they evaluate them and answer back. So, for example, such mails come to me. I see in which area the particular query is related to, and then I try to either directly answer it or get it answered through other people. So that's the approach which the MSMEs should take. First of all, they should identify their own strengths, pitch those strengths to us, and then approach can be directly. Today, even LinkedIn and maybe some of other social media platforms, they are offering you visibility into the contact person within the organization, right? So people who are handling the supply chain operations or the contract manufacturing, you can directly approach them or use the website.
Okay, very nice. So this solves the first step where you are getting, exploring the opportunity and trying to get in touch. Now, then
I
comes
would
this.
bring in one point here, Tripti. I would say that vendors should actually, they should approach us with their strength, right? Not with just a sales pitch. They should come up with their strength.
Very valid point, Samrat. You have already, mentioned how need to be there, inch up and attract the attention. talk about your strength, which you have already shared couple of points like flexibilities, costing, etc. to showcase. So next movement, when we take it ahead, Samrat, for large FMCG companies, what would be the typical qualifying criteria and key standard to select a contract manufacturing vendor? And among these pointers, would there be any something which will be absolutely non-negotiable?
Yeah, so I think if I have to talk about the non-negotiables, right? So I would say that the topmost non-negotiable would be the compliance or the consumer safety. So that would be a non-negotiable as per me. And how do you drive it? Basically, so they have to drive it through product safety, which could be safety data, process integration integrity. Basically, is very very important. The add-ons could be traceability, right, which will always be required, because in case today the consumer demands traceability, but in case there are quality issues also, that you should be able to trace it back, and that wherewithal should be available with the MSME or the vendor. And maybe all ethical and environmental norms, compliance to those are the non-negotiables as per me. Cost is one thing, you can always negotiate on price, but on integrity or quality there is no negotiation as per me.
Right. So because you're dealing with consumable products, so FMCG, when they are dealing with consumable products, then traceability and the quality standards is completely non-negotiable, specifically where big brand names are associated with it. Okay, got it. So these becomes a very very absolute, pointers where they have to be completely at good quality and not to do any shortcuts. So, Samrat, if we talk about the typical process when any vendor applies to a large FMCG company for contract manufacturing, there would be some initial application processes and dialogue, discussions, agreements. Uh, Usually, realistically, how much time it could take to onboard and start working?
So I would say that, let us understand what are the processes or the process steps which we'll have to undergo before we actually qualify anyone who's coming on board for the first time, right? So typically, apart from getting introduced, there will be an audit of the systems and the manufacturing facility. There will be some sample manufacturing also, which will be done. There will be a stability trial which will be done, and then the whole stability exercise will be completed. And apart from that, there will be commercial and legal discussions also. So compliances on those parts also will be very very important. I would say all this typically would take anywhere between 3 to 6 months. Yeah, uh, that would be the typical timeline. I would say that these partnerships, they will take time to establish, because trust is something which is the slowest ingredient in the manufacturing recipe, I would say.
Absolutely, right, right. And it's a manufacturing process, so it gonna take couple of trials and quality checks, and then also checking long term relationship possibilities. Understood. Samrat, what are some common mistakes contract manufacturing MSMEs make, uh, by which if they avoid or they can improve upon on that, they can increase their chances of not just winning the contracts, but also sustaining these contracts for more rollovers and long term association with large FMCG companies.
So I think long-term partnership, Tripti, will come to the MSMEs if they treat compliance and communication, as their biggest asset. It should not be counted as a cost, right? Compliance and communication, not as a cost, but as something which is an essential. I would say, people focus on price competitiveness, but more important actually than that are the quality systems, the whole documentation, and the ability to later on then scale also, right? So once the relationship is established, we grow, they grow, they should be able to scale up also. So I think these are the things which are very, very important. They should not be hiding, any constraints, whether it is, quality constraint or any capacity related constraint. These are the things which they should never hide. They should be open and transparent about it, and then the relationship definitely will actually, flourish. I would say that, price win will only win them the order, right? Relationship actually will come with their performance.
Very nice. So, Samrat, you mentioned communication here. So, one part of the communication is be transparent, right? Share your weaknesses or strength, whatever. But is somewhere communication in the regular working processes, delay in communication, not having enough clarity on what they are informing? Is there something that also involved, which you want to
Yeah, that is very
highlight?
Yeah, that is very important actually. Communication is one of the key things. Communication on quality, communication on capacity, communication on any, financial liability, etc. All these things on compliances, these are very, very important. And any miss on these will definitely dent the relationship because it will dent the trust between the
Right.
two organizations.
Okay, right. So there has to be regular continuous communication apart from the initial one when you are onboarding it. Okay. So,
Absolutely.
Samrat,
On both
uh,
sides, the MSME should actually try to work with, a key account kind of a relationship, where they have people on their side who are responsible for these communications. They should treat big organizations like key accounts, and, these people should be made responsible for ensuring transparent communication, timely communication, feedback loops getting closed on time, and
right,
any escalations on both sides. These people should be responsible to make those escalations. Any escalation on our side, they should be able to highlight to us. Any escalation on their side, they should be able to take it to the responsible concerned person and get it
right,
resolved.
right. Very well said. Uh, so, Samrat, in your view, what are the some key areas where Indian contract manufacturing MSMEs need to upgrade and invest, as per your experience, right? Which can help them for a higher growth and sustainable growth.
So I would say, we treat them as, our partners, right? So I think visibility on data is one thing which is very, very important. But more important than anything else, I would say invest. They should invest in upgrading their quality standards, whether it is in manufacturing or whether it is in their quality labs where they are actually going to test. Then they should train their manpower, supervisors or quality teams. They should, give them sufficient amount of training so that they are able to ensure the right process in manufacturing, and in case, in the subsequent stages also, when the quality checks are being done, people should be sufficiently trained. They should be able to identify if there are any gaps at the right point. When the quality test is happening, they should be able to identify. So all these investments they should be able to do. And I think niche areas in which they can actually upgrade or invest is typically, things like traceability, etc. If that can be done, it will be, it will be really giving them the edge to be able to win.
Right, right. So basically, traceability has become a very important aspect nowadays. And if contract manufacturing can invest in that area also, then it obviously becomes more preferred choice for large FMCG players to continue working and outsource from them. Uh, so, Samrat, let's understand a bit about the technology part. Okay, in the case of contract manufacturer, is technology adoption becoming a critical role for higher opportunities with FMCG players, large FMCG players? When I meant, okay, and continuation.
So I would start this question answer by, saying that, today, in modern manufacturing, digital is the new discipline which is required, right? But having said that, I would say the basic requirement which we will have would be sufficiently available if they have a basic ERP system in place, and some systems for tracing their quality of the product and being able to relate it to the input materials. These are the basics which are required. Beyond that, technology is not something which will become a showstopper for them. They can actually adopt technology as they are scaling up, but initially they should be having the basic infrastructure. Beyond that, of course, as I was saying, digital is the new discipline, so they can actually keep graduating and going to the next levels, but that is not the showstopper, I would say.
Thank you for the clarity, because it's not becoming the entry point blocking, but if you are adding it, it is going to help you in the scaling up part. Okay.
Absolutely.
Uh, any key areas where innovation, etc., is expected by the large FMCG players from contract manufacturer? Like one you have highlighted very clearly is a traceability part, but anything where organic, more and more nowadays people want to get into healthy stuff. So are we expecting contract manufacturing to do dig in more into that, or herbal, or getting into more cost improvisation?
Yeah, I think absolutely, Tripti. I would say that the MSMEs today, they can actually give the edge to the FMCG companies like us by actually co-developing the formulation itself for us. It is quite possible, and there are people who are doing it. Small organizations, from day one, they will co-develop the formulations for the FMCG companies. So it is very much possible. And when they do it, then being able to give natural or herbal ingredients or sustainable product lines, these will be the niche areas in which they can actually come up and scale up very very fast. And I think FMCG companies like us, they will value such partners who will go beyond the brief and do these kind of things, because it is not about big budgets here. It is more about small ideas getting executed well.
Very nice. So yeah, that is also becomes one of the fear factor, that they feel that we are very small, and why would large player would look at us. But if the idea is unique, you never know that large FMCG player might be interested and may support to make it big idea.
Absolutely. The companies are going in for new product launches which are being developed by the co-manufacturers or the MSMEs who are the partners for such organizations.
Right. So let's move to the another important part for you, which you mentioned, is the raw material procurement. You have to arrange raw material at the time, correct timing, and then the quantity and the supply chain has to be maintained. So when large FMCG companies evaluate raw material suppliers, what are the gate openers? The must-have things that improve the chances of the vendors to get selection. And then again, Samrat, what will be the showstoppers, which kind of a deal breakers, and you may not agree to accept them and disqualify them?
So I would say for the raw materials, the consistency will be the key currency for them. So that will be the most important thing, consistency. I would say, if I have to define it in one word, consistency in terms of the quality of the product, the process. Apart from this, if I have to say a few more things, it will be the compliance, the regulatory compliance will be very important, and ensuring that they are taking care of all the safety aspects also will be very very important here. And I think this will be, if I have to talk about areas which they have to be, the watch outs will be the quality, weak documentation, and no, consistency not being there. These can be the deal breakers for the organizations like us.
Right. So when you mentioned consistency, consistency is for both quality and the quantity
And the deliveries.
and the timely deliveries, right? So
Yes.
timelines, quality, quantity, so all these three areas of consistency will be the gate openers for them and improve the chances of selection. Another point is Samrat, where you are saying that certain things will not qualify, like say quality things you will monitor, right? Other stuff. So in case of raw material supplying, how the monitoring will happen from your side? Your, in the sense, any FMCG big player, how that thing will be taken care of, because it is coming from the third party supplier raw material, and you have to be very very cautious about. So you're going to do testing at your place, or you will be deploying third parties, how it's taken care?
So I would say the first step of testing is something known as the COA, right? It's a document which the raw material supplier themselves will be supplying to us. That becomes the basic document. It's the report card. The testing has been done at the vendor's end, and this is how the material complies with the testing guidelines. So that will be the first document. Apart from that, then the quality team will also do their own checks. Depending on the product profile, there could be certain times there could be microbial analysis which we'll be doing. There could be testing of the strength of the material itself, right? Which is there are different tests. Then there could be impurities which we'll be testing. So there are different tests which we do. Most of the tests we are able to do it in house. We have if there are some new products or product lines where we have just initiated, we may actually rely on some of the outside testing laboratories, the renowned ones, but generally we have our own in-house testing mechanism. But we prefer vendors who can actually become vendors with auto approvals of the raw materials, right? People who have a green signal, they will do their own testing and give us a compliance confirmation. And over a period of time, if they sustain a particular kind of delivery, then we actually give them a green channel, and then less testing is required. But those are things which develop over a period of time when there is a trust
Absolutely.
over a long period.
Absolutely. So when you were mentioning the quality check in house, right? So most of the quality check, when at the early stage or the various things you have to take care, would be happening in house. But in quality check also, is there an opportunity for MSME quality checkers to engage with large FMCG player to provide services?
For quality testing, Tripti, we do not outsource because there is opportunity, of course, but I would say we generally, because of the need of flexibility and agility, we try to do the testing in house. Once the material is received, you take out samples and you start the testing. There are labs which are running 24 hours within the premises of the factory. So we try to do those testing in house itself.
Got it.
There is
So
less scope for outside.
So, Samrat, let's understand in two, three, main key areas which can bring the natural edge. Now, summarizing it, the points where you have mentioned it, but now if we, want to prioritize them in as a natural edge as a raw material supplier over large players, so what it would be?
So I think the small players can be winners, as I was saying for contract manufacturing. Here also small players, if they can help us to co-create some of the materials, raw materials, but more importantly than that, if they are able to give us the edge on scale, right? Sometimes the large players will operate only at a certain scale, right? But we may not have that scale. You have gotten into a new product where the scale is not there, right? We are also testing it in the marketplace. So people who are able to give flexibility on scale itself, those can become long-term vendors for us, right? So ability to deliver with agility at a lower scale is something which is a niche which MSMEs can look forward to and start working with companies
Very
like us.
nice. Right. And also the another point which you mentioned where they're co-creating a new line of product and doing R&D. Okay. The most key criteria, right? And because smaller, you're able to, change the processes fast, move fast, right? You don't have to move the entire elephant to for the small thing. Yes, you're right. So, Samrat, now let's understand a small part which is related to raw material is basically, is there any specific areas because of which large FMCG player prefer to go to the big suppliers rather than a small suppliers? Any kind of, area where they feel too fearful, or, they don't want to take that risk getting it from small supplier.
So I think when there are small suppliers, the areas of caution, I would say, will be the ability to have continuity of supply. Right, that is the first and the foremost important thing which any buyer will be looking at. Right, and he will be risk averse in case he feels that the supply continuity will be a concern, which actually is also in a way linked to the financial stability of the organization. So that is very, very important for us. And then apart from that, it is the compliance maturity, right? Whether the vendor has got the maturity to be compliant to the regulatory requirements or the quality requirements. These are the things which will be definitely be looked at. Apart from this, there is one more thing. Uh, when you start working with a new vendor, you also see whether he has the ability to in future scale up to the requirement, right? So for example, you go ahead and you launch a new product, and then if the product volume multiplies 2x 3x 5x, right? So you see whether your vendor is able to scale up or not. So that also becomes a criteria of evaluation at the point of time of probably start when you start working with someone. So yeah.
Right. Got it. So, Samrat, let's move to the next important area of opportunities related to supply chain is packaging material. Now, in the packaging material, first of all, you want to understand how do large companies, FMCG companies, generally view the role of FMCG, MSME supply, packaging supply chain players. So, where all you think how important they are, and where are you placing them?
So I would say, MSMEs who are new entrants, if I have to talk about new entrants from the MSME sector into the packaging supply chain, I think their most important role will be in, I would say three areas. One would be definitely be the innovation itself, packaging innovation. So that is a niche in which they can actually do something, and entry will be very easy. Agility definitely is very, very important. Quick responsiveness is very, very important. I think for FMCGs, we would rely on MSME partners for their speed to market, because that will aid our speed to market.
So you are saying basically packaging suppliers who can do a fast supply, agility is there, uh, and you also
And
mentioned
innovation.
about some innovation. So when you
Innovation. Yeah.
right, right. So when you mention innovation in the packaging, what are the expectation of large FMCG players?
So if there is a product, so for example, if you look at maybe any product, right? So if you talk about labels, right? So there could be big suppliers in label manufacturing, but MSMEs will find it very, very difficult if they compete with these large players, but they can actually innovate with some material which is maybe more eco-friendly, right? So such innovation will definitely get them a quick entry and maybe ability to scale up.
Okay, okay. So basically, eco-friendly, biodegradable kind of, innovative formats, if it is there, that is the area which is more relevant for new entrants. Is it also hinting, Samrat, that the, general mainstream packaging area has become too competitive, and large players have coming in? So for FMCG, it's better to enter it in this area if they are bringing any specific niche or the innovative product.
I would say yes. See, I would not say it is difficult and it has become very but competitive, but definitely the entry barrier is a little high. If you compete against against a large player, and you try to, your delivery is also the same what they are delivering, right? It will be difficult for you to compete even on cost also with them. So because they will have the scale. So if you do something in a niche area, then you are able to, get fast entry and a quick scale up. I would say, in packaging especially, speed and creativity will come in small boxes. That's the way I put it.
Right, creativity and speed is very important, right? So, and specifically along with the scale, because large players are involved, right? So, Samrat, we have already covered contract manufacturing, raw material supply, and packaging material, opportunities for MSMEs in the large FMCG companies. Would also like to take your inputs on warehousing, logistic, and transportation after this. And I would request our listeners to, stay tuned for that part also. Uh, but before that, one personal question today, and one we will cover it later on. When Samrat is, handling such a large team, so many responsibility and accountability, such a large FMCG player platform, when he goes back right after the work, or he does the unwinding, what are the areas, you do unwinding? What are the ways and tools to re-energize yourself?
Yeah, so I think first and foremost is to spend time with the family, talking to my kids, my son, my daughter. That's the best thing, which takes away all the burden from your mind, and it helps you to unwind. Apart from that, over the weekends, a walk in the evenings, or sometimes during the daytime also. If you go out and walk, it allows you to basically unwind, think about whatever has happened over the week. Sometimes you're able to formulate your strategy also, how you want to address some of the key areas of concern. So that really helps me, and I really feel that time which I spend with myself is very, very useful to me. Apart from that, of course, television is something which, some of the series, or YouTube, you watch some of, news I do not watch, but I definitely I watch some of the YouTube channels which give you the latest information and what's happening around the world. So those are the things which I use to unwind. By the way, driving is also one thing which helps me. If I drive over the weekend, that also helps me to unwind.
Okay, so to driving is also your re-energizer, along with sometime walking on the weekends and other stuff, and catching up through the YouTube. Wonderful, Samrat. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate, and we'll join you again for other areas of opportunities for MSMEs.
Thank you.
Dear listeners, since last 3 years, you have been listening to MSME Talk audio podcast on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, etc. Now it is available in video format on YouTube as well. Also, I would like to tell that more information and updates are not covered on podcast, for which you have to ensure that you subscribe our newsletter and follow us on social media. Links are given in description.